Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is July 31st, 2024, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, big day today with the FOMC rate statement later this evening, but things are happening already. So looking at the major economic events of the day. Earlier this morning from Japan, we had a rate statement. The Japanese yen is strengthening. We're going to take a look at that. And as we're looking later today at 2:30 South African time, out of Canada, we have a GDP, gross domestic product number coming out. And of course, at 8 p.m. tonight, a rate statement from the Central Bank of the United States at 8 p.m. Now, looking at the various markets, expect choppiness. But starting out with the Forex symbols, we're watching the Japanese yen strengthen versus the dollar over 1,000 pip over 2 weeks of trading. Now, looking at the indices, completely different direction. Down gains, while the Nasdaq selling off. Now looking at commodities, gold and oil do both gain. Looking at stocks, Nvidia sells off sharply before this number. And lastly, look at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remains unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Japanese yen. Now, I want to take it from a weekly to go to a 4-hour chart. I want to highlight a couple of things. On a weekly, we're breaking the 30-day moving average. Very significant. Yes, it'd be much more significant if we broke it on the 200-day moving average, but for right now, I could suffice it. However, looking at the daily, check that out. We're breaking that 200-day moving average. Now, the last time we did that was January 2024, and where we now, we're significantly higher after that. So with that said, okay, this is where we were when we broke that and we had that big run on the upside. Now we're still at supportish level. Previous resistance, subsequent support, 150 is that level. So keep that in mind. This may be a point where we do bounce off of it. We have to see what's going to happen in the United States later today. Now, the other things on the focus right now, Australian dollar taking a nosedive and getting weaker again to 64, and it's breaking supportish level. The next real supportish level is 63. So we've got some headway on the downside there. Now, looking at the Canadian dollar on resistance, as this big number coming out today, the gross domestic product, and the U.S. coming out with their rate decisions. So this should play out. And I would go to the Canadian dollar first. I mean, if it does pop above this 138.60-ish level, that is super, super significant. I mean, we've seen this on a multi time frame level. Okay, weekly chart here. That's super important. Now, jumping into commodities, let's take a look at gold. Gold finally broke this downwards momentum. And I said it's going to be kind of interesting if it holds this or if it breaks it out. And surely enough, it broke it. So let's get rid of that downwards trend line. And now we're just consolidating. Okay, I mean, we're at that above range. Okay, we are at resistance-ish level right now. Okay, so keep that in mind. But I believe we're going to be trending sideways. Let's see what happens with the interest rate decision later today. Now looking at crude oil, getting a little bit of a bounce here to 76. Also trading in a range, really. Now looking at the U.S. markets, this is where it gets kind of interesting. Dow Jones goes higher, okay, where it does lead onto 41,100, whereas the Nasdaq not doing much, really having a very hard time here on the downside. So let's take a look at the individual stocks. Look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is closing to $100 a share from its high of 136-ish level. So that's a big retracement for NVIDIA, okay, as that is selling off. And it still has earning reports to come out, so just be aware of it. That's still pending. I believe it's next week sometime. So that's something to consider. Now looking at JP Morgan, especially today, with the news coming out with this interest rate decision close to its all-time highs, banks really benefit if it's a higher interest rate. I don't think we're going there, but I don't think we're going to go lower right now. Okay, at least for right now. But what I want to see is what are his comments? Okay, what's the sentiment coming up afterwards with the FOMC decision? And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, just consolidating at this upper range. But again, like I said, if it breaks above 69, that is a good place for it to break out back to its 72 grand. So something to look forward there. So lots of things. Expect a lot of choppiness in the market. Make sure that you have your stop losses and take profits in place before you enter the trade. And it should be a decent day today with some volatility. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.